We are Cop Connect, a group of lifelong Reds with one vision: to connect Liverpool fans everywhere through a spirit of friendship and togetherness, to build the world's most diverse, most inclusive Liverpool fan group. Join our growing community on our Cop Connect Facebook group, on Twitter and Instagram, and our website copconnect.com. Cop Connect, the ultimate Liverpool fan experience, brought to you by Liverpool fans, for Liverpool fans. Copconnect.com.
Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Connection podcast on ATX Red Press. This is a brand new episode today. I'm Dazza. I've got Mr. Steve Wilson, who is actually on the road coming back to Austin. And our special guest today is all the way from Denmark, is Thomas Gronnemark. And he is a throw-in coach for Liverpool Football Club, which I know a lot of people will just go, a what? Because I know you've been doing it now for 3 seasons, Thomas. Welcome, by the way, and it is Thomas's 45th birthday today, so everybody say happy birthday once you listen to this.
Happy birthday.
But where I want to start, Thomas, is actually not with the Liverpool stuff, but we'll go back and just kind of revisit, like, when you started to get into athletics, because I definitely want you to talk about, you know, your track and field, and your bobsled. So just take it away.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me to your show here. Before I went into track and field, I was playing in the highest U19 league in soccer in Denmark, and I was pretty good, and also played against great players like, for example, Thomas Gronnemark, who later came to play for Celtic and Real Madrid and so. But to be honest, I wasn't good enough to be a professional football player or soccer player. So, but I was really fast, and I had some really long throw-ins. So in the mid-90s, I went to track and field instead to test my skills there. And already the first year I was training, I came on the Danish national track and field team as a sprinter. And the following 6 years, I was on the Danish national team. I was running 100, 200, 400 meters and both relays. And I was several time Danish champions in sprint, and my best result was in 2000 in Paris, where together with my teammates won the European Championship in 4x400 meter relay for club teams. So I ran the last leg, so that was really like a fantastic thing to experience. And so in 2002, I'd never been better. I had just set personal records on 100 and 200 meters, but I wasn't really motivated for the sport anymore because, 2 years before I had moved to a small city in Denmark called Skive. That's the western part of Denmark. And I moved there because I met my wife. And sometimes you do stupid things because of love. But suddenly there, of course, the love was fantastic. But looking at the sport, I was suddenly training alone, no coach. The results has never been better. But they just turn into numbers on a paper. So I thought, hey, I like to change sports. So I knew it should be a sport where I could use my strength. I was really fast. I was also very strong, but also heavy. So I thought, hey, can I find a sport that could combine these like 3 things? I also knew that, first of all, it had to be a team sport, but it should also not be a sport that was too wild, because I've always been afraid of roller coasters when I was a kid. So I changed to the bobsleigh sport. In 2002, I came on the Danish national bobsleigh team, and some of you might wonder, hey, why bobsleigh when you couldn't really go into a roller coaster? And to be honest, I was also totally nervous the first time I tried to ride down on a real bobsleigh track. So, but I could deal with it because I didn't get sick in the stomach of going in a bobsleigh. But again, it was like 100 times wilder than a roller coaster. So from 2002 to 2006, I was traveling all around the world with a bobsleigh team, the whole Europe, Canada, the States. And it was fantastic 4 years. And it was in the middle of that bobsleigh. But hey, if I can make a good throw in myself, can't I teach other players to do it?
So going back to the bobsled, you were the driver, right?
No, I was actually the athlete. So we were driving both the 2-man and 4-man sled. So I was the last one to jump in because I was the fastest guy. So it would probably been gone much worse if I had to drive that sleigh. But I was the last man because, the last man is jumping in after 60, 70 meters, and you're running a little bit downhill, so you have to be really fast to keep up with that sleigh, to keep on pushing and give it energy. So, but again, fantastic sport. You're together with your team 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we were traveling, to other countries approximately 20 weeks per year, and all the other weeks we were just training like athletes. But especially when we were on bobsleigh tour, and that was normally like 3-4 weeks at a time, and then 1 week home, and then so on. We had a work day on normally between 14, 16, 18 hours, because in bobsleigh you don't have a lot of staff who has to do all the work for you. No, you also have to carry the sledge. You also have to polish the runners. You have to repair the sledge yourself. So. And for example, a bobsleigh training is not like 1.5 hours. It could easily be 4 hours because there's you have to prepare a lot of things before and prepare the sled after. And so it's a fantastic sport, but it's also a tough sport also mentally, because you're crashing sometimes, and once in a while you'll find yourself ending up in a hospital bed because you've had a crash. So, but again, that was 4 fantastic years I had there.
Steve?
Yeah, Thomas, it's one of those sports that whenever the Olympics comes around, it just captivates the American audiences. In the past, we had Herschel Walker. He made the bobsled team for the United States. And then recently, Lolo Jones, bona fide track star, she went into bobsledding. So it's always one of those fun things, and you don't really realize how much technique and teamwork is involved until you're watching it and then hearing stories that you're saying. Yeah,
it's a fantastic sport, bobsleigh, and some things, of course, look really complex when you see it from the outside, like the workload, but also the mental thing about crashing and just sit in the sled, but also thing like jumping into the 4-man sled is really, really, really technical, because you have no room in a bobsleigh, and it's like you have the pilot, he's running like 25-30 meters, depending on how good shape he's in, and then he's jumping in, and it's easy for him to come into the sled. Then we have the second man, he's like running 30-40 meters, and then he's not like just going into the sled. No, he has to like jump into a sled, and he jumps on a little board who's beside the sled, and it's not enough to just jump in. You have to make a cross step in full speed, and then the second man is sitting not down in the sled, but he's sitting on his elbows above the sled, and he also have to take care of that he's 2 running shoes with like 300 steel spikes on, doesn't hit the pilot when he sits there. And then the third man does the same, running full speed. He jumps in after like 50 meters or so, and then he's also sitting at his elbows above the sled. And then the fourth man, that was me, I was just jumping in the sled after like 60-70 meters, and I could just jump in, and when I was into the sled, then I could just say now or yes or something like that, and it meant that the second and the third man could sit down. But sometimes if you hadn't positioned probably, you couldn't sit down because you had 2 legs sitting in the wrong place, and so sometimes you see bobsleigh teams who are like stuck. I tried myself once upon a time. I sat on the second position in training, where I couldn't get down in the sled. So I like half the track, I was just sitting like a meter over everyone. And it's really, one thing is that it's scary to to go in a bobsleigh, but if you're sitting a meter above it and can't get down, it's much worse. So just to jump into the 4-man sled is really technical. So there are so many things you can train there.
Yeah, I'd be jumping out of the bobsled. You couldn't pay me enough to go down that thing. No chance. Yeah, that just scares the living crap out of me. Like, I just, just watching like the Olympics and the people that do it, like, brave, very, very brave. Especially the one man one. That's even scarier to me. So at least if you're going to crash, you can crash with a couple of mates. But if it's just you on the one man, it's sayonara.
Yeah, it's not the funnest thing to crash, no matter if it's what kind of thing you're riding on. So yeah.
With your throw-in, when did that come about? Obviously, you've played your football and stuff, but when did you just go, all right, there's a need for a throw-in coach?
Yeah, it was actually in the middle of a bobsleigh trip. It was in January 2004, and we had a cooperation with the German Bobsleigh Federation. So we trained with the Germans and could use the same facilities and so. And then sometimes, not every time, but once in a while, we had like a indoor soccer match, like for warm up, or just to have a little bit fun, So, and then in one of the matches, I took a throw in from one part of the indoor facility to the other. And I knew I could that because that was one of my strengths. And then I think some people cheered and said, "Oh, whoa, that was long." And then suddenly I thought, hey, if I can make a long throw in myself, couldn't I teach other players to do it? So after that bobsleigh trip, when I came home to my town, I went down to my local library to find a book about throw-ins. But there were no books at all at the library. And then I tried to search the internet and nothing really, at least it wasn't serious. So I thought, hey, I got to figure this out myself. So I used approximately 6 months to do this throwing course. And I was like video analyzing myself. We really used to use video analysis at the bobsleigh team too. So that was normal for me. So I looked at, hey, what is the best run-in? How do you place your hip? What should the grip be? What should the distance between your feet when you're throwing the ball be? And so on and so on. And then in the fall 2004, I had a throwing course. And that was only the long throwing I was focusing on. And to be honest, I didn't know if it would work at all because I haven't tested on other people than me. So I could have been starting with a youth or amateur soccer team, but I had the courage to ask a local Superliga team. That's the best league in Denmark. I asked a local team called Viborg, and luckily enough, they said yes. And yeah, the players improved their long throw-ins a lot, and they scored a lot of goals after throw-ins. And this year, the club had its best placement in the Danish Superliga in the club's history. So all in all, was like really good success. And the year after, it was FC Midtjylland I came to, even bigger club in Denmark, currently number one in Denmark. Also just played Champions League now. And the first 3 seasons in Denmark with professional clubs. Watching one of my clubs, Silkeborg, from the Danish Superliga, play a game, and I should only have been analyzing the long throw-ins. But then they had a ordinary throw-in in the middle of the pitch, and they lost the possession. And just after again, they lost the possession once more, and again the third time. And then I thought, hey, that couldn't be real that a professional team lost the ball so many times. Then I started to see as many soccer matches as I could. And I was totally in shock because I realized, not only in Denmark, but also in the Premier League, the Bundesliga, the Champions League, that most teams, they had possession under 50% of the occasions when they had a throw-in under pressure where the players are marked. So I went from only looking at the long throw-ins to instead focusing perhaps even more on the throw-ins all around the pitch. So in 2007, I developed my philosophy, the long, the fast, and the clever throw-ins. And that's how to keep possession, how to create chances and score goals after throw-ins all around the pitch. So that was where everything started as a throwing coach. And yeah, as I may tell about a little bit later, it's like developed to an adventure for me, almost a dream, a fairy tale. So it's been a fantastic thing.
Yeah, the only player I really remember that was good at throw-ins was Rory Delap. And boy, could he throw, but you didn't really analyse it back then. You just see him throw it in the box, And I've watched some of your videos, and it is like a bit like basketball as well. How the placement is when they throw the ball in, and it's very unique. And obviously when Liverpool hired you, when Jurgen hired you, there was the snickering from some pundits, as we all know, the Andy Grays, the Stevie Nichols. They actually did. And understandable to a point, but how did you? Because obviously you must have heard about all the snickering, kind of like, why did Liverpool hire a throwing coach? How did you feel at the time? Like, did you just say, whatever?
Yeah, for me, it wasn't the biggest worry. Because first of all, okay, sometimes you get surprised about who would criticize you. And again, to be honest, I didn't see that like pundits who I thought were like experts or either had some knowledge or were curious to have more knowledge. I didn't expect that they'll be so, they would criticize me in that way. It didn't mean anything because, I'm like working with a thing called the good, the bad, and the ugly criticism, and I think, and the reason why I have this like thing I'm working after is because I think criticism is one of the best things we have in the world. Because if it's what I call a good criticism, that's like constructive criticism, we couldn't develop us if there was no one saying to us, hey, couldn't we do it in this way, or couldn't you do it this way, or could we do it better, or would it work even better if we did that? And for example, I had Jordan Henderson said to me in a training, I think it was last season, I had an exercise. I made it just straight into the pitch, and he said, hey, could we do it in 45 degrees instead? Because I think it would be even more relevant for the match and so on. And then I thought about it. And then I said yes, and the drill was even better. Last summer, I'm coaching many other clubs in the world. And last season I coached Ajax, and Christian Paulsen, the assistant coach, said to me, hey, this drill is really good, but haven't you thought about putting 2 small goals on each side? Because then it will be even more motivating for the players. And then I said, yeah, I haven't thought about that. I did it, and now the drill is much better. So that's what I'm calling constructive criticism, and that's really good. That's one of the best things we have. Then I have what I call the bad criticism. And sometimes people can say to you, I don't think this throwing coaching is working, or, oh, it's only a tiny small thing, or perhaps they are even laughing a little bit. But and that's, you can say that's bad criticism, but sometimes if you give these people some knowledge or ask them a question, for example, I can say to people who are saying, oh, it's only a small thing, it doesn't really matter, why should you hire a throwing coach? Then I'm saying to them, hey, did you know that there are normally between 40 and 60 throw-ins in a soccer match? And I'm also saying, did you know that most teams have possession under 50% of the occasions when have a throw-in under pressure? I can also say to them, normally teams are using between 15 and 20 minutes on throw-ins and the following throw-in related situation in a soccer match. And many of these people who are like really skeptical in the start, they'll say instead, hey, I didn't know that. That was interesting. And suddenly these people are like people you have a good dialogue with, and sometimes they can even give you a lot of good things, and you can give a lot of good things to them. So you shouldn't necessarily, because people sound skeptical in a bad way, that it can just because they don't have knowledge enough. And then the last part, what I call the ugly criticism, that's the kind of criticism where you can see that people are only going after you. They're just trying to get you down. They're going after you personally, a little bit like Andy Gray and Stephen Nicol. I didn't feel that they were interested in knowing more about throw-ins, getting more knowledge, see how it all could happen. For me, they were only interested in laughing at me to get, I don't know, more viewers or make people think that they were funny or really So I kept pretty quiet with both of these two, because I couldn't win anything going in a dialogue, because it wouldn't be a dialogue. It was only being me who was laughing, and the other two who were me coming with arguments, and the other two laughing. So if you meet people who are like giving you that kind of criticism, it's all about brushing it off your shoulders. And of course, I always recommend, because it's easy to say, hey, just brush it off. Of course, especially if you're like an emotional guy like me, it can also sometimes be hard to hear, even though you know that you can just brush it off. So I always recommend people to talk with someone you really know well. It could be a good friend, family, everyone who can help you go through it. So, but all in all, I'll say that more and more people are being supported around my job as a throw-in coach, throwing coaching. And now even you can just look at Twitter, now even rival fans saying, hey, let's hire him. And it's not because I want to blow my own horn here, but just to say that everything around, the feeling around throwing coaching has really changed from August 18, where my job in Liverpool was leaked, and then until now. So, yeah.
Just wanted to see how you felt when all four teams in the group were teams that you were consulting.
Yeah, I'll just say, first of all, it was actually not four teams, but it was actually only three teams, because I had like an inspirational visit to Atalanta United from MLS in January. So it wasn't Atalanta from Italy. But even though it was still three teams, last season I worked with Ajax. It's my third season with Liverpool FC. And I've been working, not this season, but the last 10 seasons, and even earlier also with FC Midtjylland. But it's really special because first of course, Liverpool were the first ones. And then we drew Ajax. And that was really special, because I worked a full year with Ajax, also as much as in Liverpool FC, so also analyzing all their games. Then we had Atalanta, and then we still had the fourth teams, and there was 1 out of 8 that it could be FC Midtjylland, so 12.5% chance, a very small chance. And I just landed in the airport after a trip to another country, and then Then the first, it wasn't Midtjylland. Another team was drawn, and then it was 1 out of 7, 1 out of 6, 1 out of 4, and then so on and so on. And then in the end, we draw FC Midtjylland. So it's totally crazy that 3 teams that I have coached or coach right now were in the same Champions League group. So and the special thing was that actually in the first 3 of these 6 games here, we scored 1 goal after throw-ins. So 3 goals in the first 3 games. That was good. So and a lot of people also think that if you have to score after a throw-in in a soccer match, it has to be a long throw-in towards the opponent's goal. No, in Liverpool, we're not doing any long throw-ins towards the opponent's goal. No, it's we're trying to create space all around the pitch so we can keep possession, create chances, score goals. And last season, we scored 14 goals after throw-in situations in Liverpool FC. And this season already, it's still pretty early, even though we're late in the year because of a corona. And right now we scored 5 goals after throw-in situations. So, and sometimes 3 of the 14 goals last season was from our own penalty area. So because often you're under really big pressure there, but if you can have some different tools and options to release that pressure or put the ball to the other side of the pitch, then you can really create good counter-attack options. So yes, the throw-ins are important, and it also means a lot in Champions League too.
So, Thomas, how was it? Was it a call out of the blue when Jurgen called you, or did you know that Liverpool were interested in you?
No, it was a call out of the blue, and the full story. It was actually because in June 2018, a young guy called Andreas Poulsen from FC Midtjylland, he was sold to Borussia Mönchengladbach for approximately $4 million or so. And he was only 18, so that was many money for a young Danish player. And I've been coaching Andreas Poulsen in the long throw-in for a couple of seasons, and he had improved his throw-in from 24.25 meters to 37.90 meters, so almost 14 meters. And I was proud, so I wrote a tweet, and you can find it on my Twitter account if you go back to June 18, but something like proud of Andreas Poulsen, who moved to Borussia Mönchengladbach. He improved his throw-in with almost 40 meters or something like that. And then I wrote hashtag Borussia Mönchengladbach and something like that. And then there was a small Borussia fan media who saw that tweet, and they asked me, hey, can't we write an article about you as a throwing coach? And I said yes. And then a few days after, there was a journalist from the German newspaper Bild who phoned me and said, hey, can't we make an article about your job as a throwing coach? And I said yes, and inside I just said yes, because it was, probably. I'm not sure you all know the Bild newspaper over there, but there are millions of Germans who are reading the Bild newspapers every day. So, and actually, I heard later that was precisely this article that Jurgen Klopp read on his vacation in Tenerife, and actually. Ralf Rangnick from RB Leipzig, who also later called me almost the same day as Jurgen, he also read the same article. So I'll just say that if you have a dream, just you have to put these ships to sea to have a chance to reach it. So a lot of things you're doing won't really give you anything, but if you're not doing something, then it won't really work. Like I think it was Wayne Gretzky who said you're missing 100% of these shots you're not taking. So, but back again to Jurgen Klopp. It was early July 2018. Only a few days after the article in Bild, and I was with my family. We had to visit a chocolate shop. We were just on like a summer trip, and my phone was turned off because it was like with the family, undisturbed, and so. And just before we went into the shop, then I was like the last out of the car. Just looked at the phone, and then I could see it was a plus 44 number who has been calling. And if you have a company like me, and that's the land code from Great Britain or England, and if you have a company like me, you know that there are a lot of people who are just calling to sell pens or so. So I thought it was just like someone I didn't know who. But I listened to the voicemail, and then it was Jurgen Klopp on the voicemail, and I was just like, whoa! And if I hadn't been sitting in the car seat, I would probably been tumbling over, because like it's always been my big dream to coach in the Premier League, and also like a gigantic traditional club like Liverpool FC. So I tried to call him back, but he didn't answer. So I just went into the chocolate shop with my family, my wife and my 2 kids. And then when I came out again, I thought, hey, better go home to myself and take perhaps the most important call in my whole life. So I was driving the car, my wife sitting beside me, and the kids in the back. And then suddenly the phone rang, and my wife picked the phone up, and she said, "It's Jurgen." And then I just took the car and drove directly to the right into a grass field. And I picked up the phone, and it was Jurgen Klopp. And he said to me, "We had a fantastic season in the 17-18 season with a 4th place in the Premier League and a Champions League final, even though we lost. But we were so bad at the throw-ins. We were losing the ball almost every time we had a throw-in." And he said to me, "Hey, I tried to do something, but it hasn't really worked." So Jurgen Klopp invited me to a meeting in Melwood the week after. And it should only have been a meeting, nothing else. But after my meeting with Jurgen Klopp, he was so convinced that, I already the day after the meeting had the chance to coach 21 of the Premier League players, all players who weren't injured or at vacation after the World Cup. And already the week after that training session, I signed my first contract with Liverpool. First, it was only like a half season or 6-month contract. And of course, it was because they had to find out, hey, what is this throwing coach, or who is this throwing coach? Does it work? But already a few months after I signed the second half of the season contract, then I signed the full season contract last season, and then I've signed a full season contract this season. So for me, it's been like an adventure to be a part of a Champions League winning team. That was like totally fantastic. But it was, I think, even more fantastic to win the Premier League now after 30 years of waiting time. And sometimes I saw, I think just after we won the title, I saw like a little animated thing on YouTube, really short. It was like football when they won it last time, and then you saw them growing up, and the son was like, he was getting like, I don't know what, 40-50 years old suddenly, and his father was like weak and old, and then we won it again. It was something like that, and I said that was really touching, even though even me now talking about it, even not seeing it. So it means a lot for so many people around the world, and sometimes you can think, hey, no, it's only people from Liverpool or what? No, it's the whole world. If you imagine how many people who are writing me and thanking me, and I know it's only a part of the whole team and the whole game, and so, but I'm still proud to be a part of this Liverpool team. So for me, it's been I won't even say it's my dream, because if I should have been writing my dream, I don't think I would have had the imagination to dream this was possible. So it's been like an adventure for me.
Well, it seems like Jurgen's very detailed, down to the smallest detail, and you can just tell anything that can make the team better, he'll try it. So again, for all the people that laughed at you, you can just laugh right back at them and go, "Are you a Premier League champion? Are you a Champions League champion? Because I am, yourself." Klopp just so when you train, you actually train like most of the team, right? It's not just like Trent or Andy or Joe Gomez. You train most of the team, right?
Yeah, you can say, just to so the listeners can get the full view of it. I'm like helping the club in 3 different ways. First of all, I'm analyzing all the games from Liverpool FC with the throw-ins. I've been doing that since I arrived like 2.5 years ago, and I'm no matter where I am in the world, because I'm also traveling. Yeah, I've been traveling to 3 continents in 2020, helping clubs. But no matter where I am, I'm receiving the attacking, defending throw-ins from the analysis people, from Liverpool FC, and then I'm sending a throw-in analysis to Jurgen. Then the second way I'm helping is also doing talks, and that's mainly when it was Melwood, now it's Kirkby, or with the team in training camp. Then I'm doing talks, and then the last thing, and I think that's for me the most important thing is, like you said before, work with the players on the pitch, and I'm working with this long, fast, and clever throw-in philosophy. I'm only working a little bit with the long throw-ins because it's really important that especially the fullbacks has as long throw-in as possible, because the longer throw-in you have, the greater throw-in area you have. And when I'm working with players, most players improve between 5 and 10 meters up to 15 meters just by using technical improvements. I'll say 95% of my time is with what I call the fast and clever throw-ins. That's to cook it down. It's like giving the players a higher throw-in intelligence, so we can create space all around the pitch. In my 3 zones, I'm using 50 different throw-in tools. And the way I'm doing that, of course, a few times I'm working with the full back group only, but most of the times it's with bigger groups. It could be, perhaps I have 9 players for 25 minutes. We do a 4 versus 4 plus 1 thrower, or with a secret thrower. And then after 25 minutes, I get 9 of the other players who were doing something else there. I could also do a 5 versus 5 interval game with big goals and goalkeepers. And then and with a narrow pitch, so we have a lot of throw-ins in every situation instead of corner kicks and goal kicks. And then after 2 minutes, we have 2 new teams in, so that's like 22 players at a time. Could also be 11 versus 11 on a normal pitch, full match intensity. Then perhaps we'll take 5 throw-ins in each of the 3 zones, and then play the situation full out. So most of the times, yes, I'm coaching bigger groups, and the reason why is also because when we have a throw-in, doesn't matter if it's Liverpool or one of my other clubs, it's not about I have to get the throw-in. No, it's all about we have to get the throw-in. So it's that group understanding. And if you look at Liverpool, it's first of all it's not only the fullbacks who takes the throw-ins. It's often 5, 6, 7, 8 different players in a match who takes the throw-ins for Liverpool, because the first who can get to the ball can sometimes, not every time, but sometimes have a fast opportunity. So that's one of the things that's really important. And the other thing, when we're talking about we have to get the ball, is that a lot of the runs we are taking with Liverpool is not necessarily to get the ball, but to create space for your teammates. So you also see a lot of decoy runs. And back to your comments earlier, the reason why you also said that, hey, it looks a little bit like basketball, is because I'm using a lot of things from basketball. Mm-hmm. I didn't mention it before, but I've been playing street basketball my whole life. Also been playing 1 year in a club in Denmark. I'm seeing, I think, just as much NBA as I see soccer. So generally, I'm using things from not only other sports but also other things in life. I'm trying to get a lot of inspiration from many places. And for example, I also take a lot of inspiration from nature. For example, one morning I went outside with the trash. It was like a longer walk there, and then suddenly I saw some birds. We had these small birds, we had some like the predators, the big birds there, and I looked at their awareness about how were they aware around each other. And so and you can, of course it's not the same, but you can take inspiration from there and take it into awareness with throw-ins, both in attacking but also defending situations. Sometimes when I go to a museum and see a piece of art, for example, a painting, it could be, and I see some lines, even though it's just an artist who made it, I sometimes see some lines where I'm thinking, hey, that could be like a good running pattern. And of course, sometimes I also see things where I don't get anything out of it. That's the way it is when you do operation. It can't be golden nuggets, everything. So you can say I'm like open to inspiration from everywhere. And I think that's also perhaps the main reason why I could like be the first one to really dig deep into soccer throw-ins. And I think the main reason was because I have no soccer education. I have not even a minute of soccer education. And normally, if you want to go in the top of the soccer world as a coach, you have to be really well educated. And no doubt about it, of course, you should be educated, do the best you. But the reason why I could develop this, or I don't know if it's a too big word to say throw-in revolution, but like we've been playing soccer for 150 years or so, and imagine there's been no one who's really been digging deep into soccer throw-ins. And you mentioned Rory Delap before, and you're totally right. He was fantastic with his long throw-ins. But these guys who were known for their long throw-ins, they were just like talents who were throwing long and far because they just could do it. I've read article about all these players, soccer players, who could throw really far with the ball, and they were just natural talents. For example, Rory Delap, he was doing javelin throwing in school, and I also think he went to athletics. So there was never any talk about improving the players' long throwing like I did, and especially no talk at all about throwing ball retention and throwing possessions at a pretty normal throwing in the middle of the pitch. So I think that yes, we should be educated, but I also think that sometimes it can be people from totally other worlds who can create new things, in not only in sport but also in life in general.
Yeah, because I think watching Rory Delap again is like, with his throw-ins, reminded me of kind of the Hail Mary passes in American football. Just throw it and see if you can connect to somebody's head or somebody's foot. So it wasn't like perfected. It was just a strong, long throw. While I've noticed, the Liverpool players in going back to like the 70s and 80s and even early 90s would just basically throw it down the sidelines, as far as they could. Well, I've noticed the change in the last few seasons. And, that's a big reason why I wanted to get you on as well, because it's a very interesting subject. And, if you are an avid Liverpool fan and you watch these games, you watch the improvement, and it's mind-boggling. Yeah, again, the slightest little thing can make the game go your way.
Yeah, you're totally right. It means a lot, and you can say, okay, let's just say there was only like 5 to 10 throw-ins in a match. But hey, there are known between 40 and 60 throw-ins a match. There's so many situations, and we have even had some games over 60 throw-ins with Liverpool. So there are so many situations where you either keep the ball, keep control, keeping possession, have a chance of creating chances, or score goals after throwing situation. And the opposite, if you lose the ball, especially if it's like in your own half, there's a big risk of the opponents are getting a throw-in, because they are often calling you out of balance because you're on your way forward, and then suddenly you have to go the other way. So it's so important. It's only because people haven't been looking at it, and one of the clearest signs of that people are still not fully looking at it in soccer is when you're seeing a soccer match. If there's a bad throw-in, and here I'm not talking about that you're throwing directly to your opponent. No, I'm talking about if you lose possession. Let's just say a long ball down the line, long throw-in down the line in a small box, you lose the duel, then the opponents get it. The commentators are saying nothing at all. But hey, let's just say you had the ball unpressured in the middle of the pitch. Then you have your teammate, and then he's surrounded by two opponents. Let's just say you're playing it directly to him with two guys just around him. There's a really big risk of losing the ball. And then the commentators would say something, hey, why would you play it there? But they don't say it with the throw-ins. So it's just, and to be honest, of course, I think I make a big difference in the clubs I'm coaching. But the big change in soccer will first be when I'm publishing my book about throw-ins. I'm writing on a book about throw-ins. I've already been writing, I think, 120 pages or so. So I don't know when I'll publish it, but it's just so clear for me to see that especially the coaches are lacking knowledge around how can I learn the players these different options and tools, because it's not enough just to have one solution. Because if you only have one solution, sometimes I see, let's just say that if a team has either the throw-in in the middle of the pitch or their own half, I see some teams, they're like either just throwing it down the line. That's like, really bad. But I also see some teams just throwing a little bit to the side to a teammate, and then they just shoot a long ball just up the pitch, 50 meters up, and then most of the time they'll lose it again. It's a little bit the same if you just said to your central defenders, just shoot the ball up there. Perhaps we did that like 30, 40 years ago, and it was another kind of soccer we played there. So there's still a lot of development potential out there. And one thing is professional soccer, and of course, that's what I'm earning my money off at the moment. But I also think that the development of throw-ins are really important in youth and amateur football, because especially for the youth football, I've been talking to so many adult people who were bad at throw-ins when they were kid or youth players, and they were so frustrated because they couldn't really do it right, or they lost the ball, and they probably did it because there was no movement from the teammates and really good solutions. So a lot of young kids or young players have a lot of bad experience with taking throw-ins, and it gives a lot of frustration. So when I'm publishing my book about the long, fast, and clever throw-ins, it's not only to give teams success, but it's just also because I want to create a better game where players will enjoy it even more if they get some solutions to taking these throw-ins.
How do you think the players have taken to it, with the different teams?
I think it's fantastic. I can just say that what I said the very first training in Liverpool, I said to them, as I mentioned a couple of times before here in the podcast, that there are now between 40 and 60 throw-ins in a match. Most teams lose possession more than 50% of the occasions when they have a throw-in under pressure. If you did the same with your feet, you will only be playing Sunday league football. And that's true. If you lost it more than 50% of the occasions, let's say if you're a central midfielder, you will never be playing professional football. But we accept it at throw-ins. And then I said to them, I'm not going to make you into Stoke number 2. With that, I meant that we're not going to take a lot of long throw-ins towards the opponent's goal in Liverpool. And just after me, when I said that, and that was like a minute and a half or so, then Jurgen Klopp came and he said, we had a fantastic season last season, 4th place Premier League and Champions League final, but we were bad at the throw-ins. I tried to do something, he said, and perhaps it's my fault, but it didn't really work. So I called Thomas. He's a throw-in coach. I know it's a special thing to be, but I'm 100% sure that Thomas can help us develop our throw-ins. And yeah, as mentioned a little bit before, we went from number 18 in the Premier League, 3rd last on throw-ins under pressure, to number 1 in the Premier League. So, of course, when you hear that as a player, that imagine Liverpool has been number 4, that's not bad, that qualified us for the Champions League, and lost the Champions League final. You just want to take the last step. And when you hear that you're really bad at a thing that's happening a lot of times in the game, not only really bad, but almost the worst in the Premier League, then you want to change it. So I think the players were really motivated. Of course, if you ask a soccer player, would you rather play with your feet or throw with your hands? Of course, they always say, I'd rather play with our feet. But my throwing coaching is also including like passes, scoring goals, tackling, duels, movement, so on. So in many ways it looks like normal soccer training. So the Liverpool players were I think really motivated, and I think in my other clubs after that, it's been like the same thing I've been saying. But the big difference has been now that he's working for Liverpool FC. He took Liverpool from almost the worst in the Premier League at throw-in possession to the best in the Premier League. What do you think there? And again, it's not to blow my own horn, but again, okay, this guy from Liverpool is coming to help us because we want to be better. He's helped Liverpool to win the Champions League, the Premier League. Of course, it gives a lot of motivation. And for me, it's like I don't need like to be recognized to be motivated myself. If I can just feel the passion of the staff, the players, that they want to be better, it's enough for me. And it doesn't matter if it's like a Premier League team or a youth or amateur team who are contacting me. Hey, can you come pass us or so? So I think all in all, the players have been really, really motivated. There have perhaps only been I think few cases in my career where a player has been not motivated, and then it's more about this player has expected to be in the start 11 and now he's on the bench, and so if there's a guy not motivated around throwing coaching, it's probably because there's like challenges with the general motivation. So yeah, but of course, like everyone else, it's not like when I started in 2004 I just invented everything and now it's going the same, exactly the same way. No, I always try to develop, and again, as I said earlier, that to listen to other people, how can it be better? Because even though I'm probably the guy who knows most about soccer throw-ins in the world, it's not like I think, hey, I can't learn anymore, or I'm the one who should decide everything. And you can say back again to Jurgen Klopp, you said before, yeah, he's like a man who wants to change even the smallest thing to get success. And you're totally right. Of course, he looks at details. But one of the best things around Jurgen Klopp is he's a good listener. Mm-hmm. And he could have been saying to me in the very first meeting, he could have been saying, hey, we did this and this and this and this with our throw-ins. If you only like, could you do it a little bit different there and there and there? No, he just came and said to me, I want to learn everything. You have to learn the players, everything I'm 100% sure, and I trust you. So you can do whatever you want with the players. So because I trust that you can help us. So it's also take a lot of courage to listen to other people and listen to what they have to say. And I think especially if you're a guy who has a lot of power, or a guy or woman who is really, known or respected, then I think sometimes it can be hard to say, hey, I trust you, just give it all you have. But Jurgen Klopp said that to me. So he's a really good listener. He's a really fantastic of getting the best out of everyone. You can also see in Liverpool, it's not like the last seasons, at least when I've been there, we scored a lot of goals in the end of the game. And I think one of the reasons is sometimes you can say, oh, it's because of the physical condition and so on and so on. I think the best explanation is that in Liverpool, if we need a goal and we played 93 minutes, it's not only 9 out of 11 who's pressing. Mm-hmm. I can tell you, if Alisson, he was allowed to press, then you'll see 11 guys pressing, because it's not about, again, it's not about I, it's about we. So and I think that's one of the most fantastic things in Liverpool FC. You'll never hear, there's been a lot of players here who's not played so much in periods. You never hear them complain. You never hear them say, I need more time. Because you feel you're part of a family, and if you're part of a family and feel you're really taken care of, but you just have a period now where you can't play as much as you really want, you're not like complaining in the press or something. So I think that's the I think that's perhaps the biggest strength in Liverpool FC, that the relations between people, no matter if it's players, staff, coaches, physical coaches, analysis people, security guards, the people who are like making the food on daily basis for the players and the staff, the relations are so strong. So I think that, yeah, I'm doing a lot of talks myself. I've been doing over 500 talks in Denmark for companies, and one of the things we know from researching is that actually, if you want to have a good team, it's not so much that you have a lot of great skills. It's not so much that you are individual ambitious. It's more, the most important thing is actually that you have a really strong relations, because the stronger relations you have, the more you'll trust each other, and the more you trust each other, then it's easy to, for example, help each other, because let's say I have a challenge, and if I can say to you, hey, yeah, this is hard for me, or I can't find this, can you help me? And also the opposite, if I have been reading an article on the internet and I trust you, then I'll say to you, hey, can't you use that in your podcast, for example? But if I don't trust you, I won't say to you, because perhaps you're my competitor. I won't give you anything, or perhaps I think that you'll think that it's weird that I'm coming with an internet article to you. So the strong relations are so important, not only Liverpool FC, but no matter where we are in life, in the family, in sports, yeah, in our companies.
Yeah, it seems, that this Liverpool team for the last, since Jurgen's come on board, it's the players want to play for him, but they want to play for each other. It's more like a family, and it does go back to everybody's kind of comparing Jurgen now with Bill Shankly. He got the football team, he got the city, and he got the people. So I think that's success is there for Jurgen and the lads. But again, bringing on yourself, bringing on sports scientists, bringing on anybody that can help this football team achieve the goals. It's blown me away how amazing this team is. They've just gotten better and better and better. And then all you have to do now is look at this season and the amount of injuries Liverpool have, and they're still joint top. So that's a credit to everyone that works for Liverpool Football Club, as well as yourself.
Yeah, it's been totally crazy, that amount of injuries, and you can say that some injuries are of course because of the program we had, and the many games, and even though you try to spare some players in some games and give them really scientific minutes there and there, then it can be difficult to control. And then you could say injuries, dangerous tackles, we had 2 big injuries in the Everton game. You can't do anything about that, because if there's an opponent who are tackling you on a way, that's really insane. It's hard to do anything about it. There was one red card there. I think everybody who's seen it, I'm sure that should have been 2 red cards instead. So, but you can't do anything about that. You can just hope that not only the opponents but also ourselves, that we are treating each other, the opponents, well, with respect. One thing is sometimes you can be unlucky with a tackle. I've been playing soccer myself, and sometimes you're just unlucky to make a bad tackle. But if you are making a horror tackling, then you're almost sure to make a serious injury to your opponent, and life happens, but still that's not things you want to see. So again, back to you, the thing you said there, that the players are just really sticking together, even though we've been having, I don't know now, 12, 14 either injured or out with corona. Then the young players are just stepping up. they're stepping up, doing really well. The players who haven't been playing so many minutes, they are stepping up. Mm-hmm. Players you might thought that was like perhaps didn't have a bright future in the club, they'd like stepped up both in Premier League and Champions League and been playing like fantastic. So that also shows what this club is made of. So I'm just proud of that. If you look at the amounts of injuries, again, like you said yourself, to be at the moment joined first in the Premier League and been winning your Champions League group, and even one game before it was finished for the first time in Jurgen's time in the club. That's really, and it's not like we have had a lot of tough competitors in the Premier League, and the Champions League group wasn't easy. There was I won't say a lot, but there were several groups who were, I won't say easy because Champions League is never easy, but to go with Ajax and Atalanta, that's two tricky opponents, because both teams, when they're playing on their top level, they can beat every team in the Champions League. Of course, if they're not playing on their top level, of course, you can beat them like we did. 3 times, 2 times Ajax, 1 time Atalanta. So I'm just proud of not only the players but also the staff around the club. So and the whole club itself. So we'll just give it all the rest of the season and see where it all ends.
How was it when you saw Liverpool draw Midtjylland? That must have been strange for you.
Yeah, that was really strange. Yeah, that was really strange because I've been training them not this season, but the last 10 seasons, and also Ajax that I've been coaching too. So 3 clubs from from the same group. That was like, a lot of people have called it the Gronnemark group. Even Jurgen Klopp on the press conference against Midtjylland. I think it was the first Midtjylland game. He called it the Gronnemark group. So that was a little bit funny. So, it's been given a lot of attention, but that's the way it is when you're a freelance coach like I am. It's the first time I had clubs I've been coaching who are meeting internationally. I have tried it in for example, the Danish Super League to coach 2 different clubs who are meeting and playing against each other. But that was the first time here internationally, and it should happen at one stage. But again, I didn't expect it was 3 teams at once. So that's the way it is.
Thomas, were you able to be there when they won the Premier League, or were you back in Denmark?
I was back in Denmark where we won the Premier League. So for me, it's also been like it's been in not only in England and in the States, but also I think the rest of the world. The traveling has been like limited, and now it's been since let's see. Since like start of September or so. I think the first trip I was on after the Corona lockdown was the training camp in Austria with Liverpool, and then I flew directly to Liverpool with the team on the private jet there. So I was together with the team 9 or 10 days there, and since then I have been able to coach around Europe. But just came home from a trip to another country just now here. So, but of course it's a little bit challenging with the Corona and quarantine and tests. But if you're a freelancer, you have to travel. If I'm not traveling, I'm not earning any money. Yeah, of course I can earn money on analyzing games from any computer, no matter where I am. But I have to travel to coach the teams like on the pitch. So yeah.
And before we wrap this up, I want you to kind of tell the listeners, about you had a couple of free trials.
Yeah, you mean free videos? Or?
Yeah, the free videos. Yeah.
It's because I mentioned before that I'm writing a book about throw-ins, and the reason why is I want to change the soccer world so we have much better throw-ins. But until I publish that book in the future, I've been making like my 4 best basic throw-in drills. I'm giving them to my subscribers on the newsletter, and you can find the free drills just by either going at my homepage, thomasgronnemark.com, or you can just push thomasgronnemark.com/free. Then you're going directly into the page where you can get them. And there are already almost 4,000 coaches from all around the world who's been getting these drills, and I can see where they're from, like on their email address, and so it's Asia, Europe, Africa, South America, the States, Canada. So I think the only continent that's not yet been getting the drills is like Antarctica. But I don't know if there's a soccer pitch there. So but again, go into thomasgronnemark.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram. I have a Facebook group, and and also, I also have a YouTube channel too. You can also find some inspiration there. Just search Thomas Gronnemark or search Throw-in Coach, then you'll find my channel.
Or maybe bobsled.
I don't think there's any bobsleigh videos with me out there, but you can probably find some pictures on the internet. So,
and quickly, if you want to talk about your Guinness World Record as well, that was in 2010, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But it has been beaten, right?
Yeah, I beat the world record in 2010. In 2008, I decided I want to have the longest throw-in in the world, both because of personal challenge, but also because I thought, hey, if I'm the only throwing coach in the world, it could also be cool to have the longest throw-in. So I could throw around 42 meters. That's really far, because if you can throw 35 in soccer, that's like world class. So. But I knew there was an official Guinness World Record on 48.17 by Mike Lochner from the States. And I knew I couldn't throw 48 with a normal run-in. So one day I saw like a flip throw-in on the internet. And it was like, I saw this girl making a run-in, jump down on the ball, make a flip, land, and then throw the ball. And I thought, hey, that was cool. How hard can this be? So I just went directly down to my local stadium and tried this, but I just landed on my back. So I had to get some help. So I had like 3 different gymnast coaches to help me in a 6-month period. And I had the chance to make a world record attempt in a match between Denmark and Spain in the national stadium in Denmark. And I threw approximately 44 meters, so didn't beat the world record. Then I threw again in 2009 in the match between Hertha Berlin and Wolfsburg in the Olympic Stadium in Berlin with 40,000 spectators, so the old Olympic Stadium there. Didn't beat the world record there because it was raining, and then there was an English guy who beat the world record before me with 49.78, and I was frustrated. So, but I developed again, and I actually got some help from some kids in the Danish television show, because we should decide what kind of sticky stuff that's best when you have to hold on a ball when you do a flip throw-in. And luckily enough, in Danish television, they thought it was a pretty natural thing to test there. So, so together with some kids, I put squeeze on one ball, prunes, and then licorice on the last ball. And the winner was licorice. I had a standing throw-in with each of the 3 balls, and then a flip throw-in live on Danish television. So it meant I was secure jumping down on the ball, and it could be released again because it was only sticking in a moderate way. So in April 2010, I was throwing 47.00 to official Guinness World Record attempt. Then in May 2010, I was throwing 48.60 over the old world record, but still a meter from the new world record. And then in June 2010, I set an official Guinness World Record of 51.33 meters. So you can see that on my YouTube channel too. And then there's a little extra story here. And in 2010, 2019, my world record was beaten by a guy called Michael Lewis from the States, and he threw, hold on now, 59.81 meters. That was like, it's totally insane. And some of the listeners out there might think, oh, then you were disappointed, you lost your world record, and everything mad and sad. No, of course, if I could have that world record for 100 years, yeah, it could be funny. But also, to be honest, I've had so much joy of that world record, and I just thought, hey, I want to give that joy to other people too. So I contacted Michael Lewis and first Mike Lewis's father, David Lewis, and we had a chat on Skype, and Mike Lewis, I think he's now 22 now. He's been playing a little bit college soccer over there, but he like it is in the States, I think they couldn't really afford that he took all college years. That's the way it is with education in the States. So he hadn't really played so much soccer in the college like he would have been done. But I thought, hey, I want to give Michael a chance. So I here in this summer 2000, in end of July, early August, I set up a trial for Michael in a Danish second division club called Thisted. So he had a 14-day trial. Sadly enough, he didn't get a contract there. I think it was mainly because he hadn't played so much soccer before. He came to Denmark just in the months before. But again, I think it was a great experience. I had a lot of time with Michael there, and actually, we also did a new world record attempt in Denmark while he was there, and he was so close to the world record. He threw 59.50 meters, only 31 centimeters from the world record. And if you want to see that, you can see I made like a road movie, like 10 minutes road movie or so, where I'm picking Michael up, and then we're going to this small city by the Danish west coast. And then you're following his warm up and his attempts. He had 6 attempts who was under a meter. There was a lot of people out in the summer country that's seeing it, and they were just cheering him on. He was so close so many times, but you could see. I'll just go into YouTube and see that video on my YouTube channel, because to be honest, that's perhaps one of the best sports wrestles in all life. And I know that an official Guinness World Record in the longest throw-in is not like winning the Champions League or so, but the way he's doing the flip throw-in, and think of how many meters he beat the world record with, so that was just crazy. So take a look at my YouTube channel. I can only recommend it. It's would be a great experience for you.
And lastly, because I know the Danes are mad about Liverpool as well, as there just seems to be the Norwegians, the Swedish, the Danes just love Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah, Scandinavians are just really crazy about Liverpool FC, and I can also feel it in Denmark. It was a few months ago. It was just like after we won the Premier League, and I was just getting some groceries, shopping a little bit, and then outside there was a man approximately 70 years old or so, standing in a Liverpool shirt, and he had seen me inside the shop there, so he waited for me outside, and then he was just crying. He was crying, and he wanted to have a picture of me. And then he took his shirt up, and one big Liverpool tattoo on one arm, and then the other shirt, a big Liverpool tattoo there, and it meant so much to him. And he wasn't sure that he never would see Liverpool win the Premier League again. So for him, it was for many people, it's the most important thing in their life. So it's just really touching to have this experience where fans are coming up, and sometimes you can for me, it's like fantastic. It's out of another world to work for Liverpool FC, be together with Jurgen and all the famous players, and do my own work and enjoy that. But sometimes when you're meeting the fans, and especially if they're really emotional or really happy, or then it's like it really touches me. So it means a lot. There are many passionate Liverpool fans in the whole Scandinavia and also Denmark.
Well, I mean, you've got Jan Molby and Danny Agger, two Danes that play for Liverpool. So I'm sure it goes back far with that as well. But for me, growing up there, it's one of the most passionate fan-based clubs in the world. It just is, and the whole motto of "You'll never walk alone" really rings true. Because especially Scousers, they'll help anyone, and I think now that it's a global, a global fan base, everybody's taken the "you'll never walk alone" attitude. Helping with food banks, helping other charities, which is fantastic. So I'm so happy. Like, I'm really happy you came on today. To talk about your throw-ins and everything, because like I said, every little bit has made this team successful. So I want to thank you as well. I've waited 30 years. I'm 50, so when I was a young lad when we last won it. So did I ever think it would take 30 years to win the league? No chance. But I am glad. I hope we win it again. If we do win it again this season, I think it'll be better than last season, especially with the amount of injuries we've had. So, all I can say is just thank you so much.
Yeah, you're absolutely welcome. It's been a pleasure not only to be here together with you today, but also to be a part of Liverpool FC.